Developing story out of Philadelphia. We've all seen the angles of Jalen Carter spitting on Dak Prescott in the season opener. There's no precedence for a suspension, especially considering that Carter was ejected. The consensus is that a fine will be handed down at the very least. The NFL said that going into the season, sportsmanship would be a point of emphasis. Welcome in CBS Sports HQ NFL analysts Emory Hunt and Ryan Wilson. Jalen Carter apologized for his actions, said it wouldn't happen again, but there are consequences. Ryan, what do you think the punishment will be for one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL?
I think it's going to be a fine. I can't imagine it's going to be a suspension. Was it incredibly stupid? Yes. Did Jalen Carter apologize? I heard Emory talk about it last night after it happened, and I think Emery's right. There are very few things you can do to another human being. I think you would rather be open-handed, slapped in the face, than have someone spit on you. And the restraint that Dak Prescott showed was, to put it shortly, admirable, because it could have gone sideways quickly 6 seconds into that game. And look, Jalen Carter's in his early 20s. He's made mistakes. This was a huge mistake. His team could have been on the wrong side of that game had CeeDee Lamb caught a few passes. So he escaped. Hopefully he learns a lesson. He's going to be fined 5 figures. I don't think it'll be much more than that. I don't think he'll miss it out of his paycheck, if we're being honest. And hopefully this is something he can grow from. I would be shocked if he's suspended. That would feel a little too harsh for me. But the NFL has certainly handed down punishments that I thought were too harsh in the past. So we'll have to wait and see how this thing plays out.
All right, so Ryan says he doesn't think a suspension is pending. But considering that the NFL came out and said before the season that we're putting an emphasis on sportsmanship, don't you think, or couldn't you see them making an example of this?
They may strongly suggest the Eagles do it, so therefore their hands is clean.
Okay.
Because that would set the precedent of, hey, you spit on somebody, you're suspended. So when does that stop? So they'll put the onus on the Eagles to sit him down, make him a game day inactive for the second game, which I would probably do if I was a head football coach of Philadelphia, because at the end of the day, Dak Prescott won the NFL Man of the Year award last night based off his non-reaction to Jalen Carter. Because otherwise, he clearly had every right and green light and everything you wanted to say to go off on this dude. So I like his apology. I think it was sincere. I do feel like he got caught up in the moment. It was rather dumb. I would be more upset that the fact that he did it in front of the refs during the timeout to start the game and not in a pile, not in a pile-up, not in a huddle. And so all of that would make me say, bro, you clearly are not in your right mind right now. We're going to sit you down for this next game to get you right back to neutral, get you, short circuit you right back to neutral, and then you go out there in week 3 and ready to play.
Well, their next game's a big one. The Eagles clash with the Chiefs in a Super Bowl rematch in week 2. Christian McCaffrey is a question mark in week 1. He missed practice on Friday, listed as questionable for Sunday's season opener in Seattle. McCaffrey first appeared on the injury report on Thursday with the calf issue. He dealt with calf and Achilles injuries that caused him to miss the first 8 games of last season. When 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan was asked about his level of concern, he said, questionable concern. I'm not going to say anything about Christian, end quote. Ryan, we can say something. What's your level of concern?
It is much more serious than questionable, because Christian McCaffrey is the engine that makes this offense go. And we saw last year what it looked like when he was banged up. The other thing to keep in mind, last year he was hit behind the line of scrimmage on 58% of his carries, which is the most ever. He led the league last year among running backs. We know how important he is to that running game. The ancillary to that is that Trent Williams only played 60% of the snaps last year, his lowest since coming to San Francisco. Trent Williams is healthy. You need Christian McCaffrey healthy. Yes, they traded for Brian Robinson Jr. Yes, he can help out in a pinch. But there are other guys who are banged up. Brandon Ayuk isn't going to play. Juwan Jennings missed most of training camp. He's back. How much will he get in terms of being on the field? Nick Bosa is banged up. They have a lot of questions. You need your best player out there to help out Brock Purdy, who had to do a lot of heavy lifting last year, and it didn't get them where they wanted to go, not from lack of effort from Brock, but just because everyone was banged up. So I am worried a little bit more than Kyle Shanahan is saying he's worried, at least publicly.
I am worried as well, because at the end of the day, this is a significant injury for this particular athlete. I, think he is probably a little bit too tightly wound, too muscular, not a lot of fat on his body, which can lead to all of these pulls and strains. And secondly, when you think about what his skill set is, he's an explosive runner, he's a twitchy runner. Power comes from the backside, twitchiness and explosiveness comes from the calves. And if you don't have the calf muscles ready to go 100%, you're going to lose a little bit of that explosiveness and twitchiness as a runner. And third, this is the wrong defense to want to go up against if you are not fully healthy in terms of being explosive because they get into the backfield, they reset the line of scrimmage. I'm talking about the Seattle Seahawks do better than most people because they're so quick off the ball. And if you can't quickly react, that'll be a problem. And it just compounds the injury.
Yeah, I mean, this is a here we go again situation, right, for the 49ers and Christian McCaffrey. It's here we go again. He's played in 7 or fewer games in 3 of the last 5 seasons. Hopefully he's out there on Sunday against Seattle. We know for sure that rookie running back Ashton Jeanty will be on the field in Week 1 against New England, set to make his regular season debut after finishing as a runner-up to win the Heisman. The former Boise State star rushed for 2,600 yards last season, second most in a season in Division I history, behind only Barry Sanders. Before he got drafted, Jeanty wrote a letter to prospective GMs that was posted on the Players Tribune. He ended it by saying, quote, "I draft the guy they can't tackle." Well, on Friday, Jeanty telling GQ, "They let me know every single day that I'm the guy. They're counting on me to do some special things in this offense. I don't really shy away from contact, and once I make my read, I get north and south quickly. If you're in the way, that's your fault. Everybody doesn't like that. I don't know why I like it. Maybe I'm a little bit psychotic," end quote. I love this. Emory, you were a running back. You kind of have to have that mindset to play the position. After hearing Jeanty's approach, your reaction is what?
I love his honesty of saying he's psychotic because the psychotic part of it is you are supposed to evade defenders. It's about not getting tackled and trying to find the end zone. And as we talked about this before, Hakeem on this desk, in the summertime, hey, these dudes lift NFL weights. You got to be careful and cautious of who you try to run up on. And thirdly, when you're talking about the position and, you know, saying these things, so I'm a guy that they want, bro, just go play. Because at the end of the day, as a running back, you don't see running backs go out there and just jawing at everybody. The reason why? Because we know we get hit every play. And so you got to save that for when you score. Then you talk. But right now, you kind of want to just ease into the game, let your game do the talking, and then talk when you score. But saying all of this stuff, I'm glad he's honest about his psychotic nature because he's going to have to learn to evade defenders more so as a pro than he did in the Mountain West.
He's fine, Emory. Let the young man cook. And by the way, he probably said the same thing before that Oregon game last year, and he ran all over Oregon. So I am not worried about Ashton Jeanty talking up. And I'll say this, Max Crosby talked about this over in the last few weeks. That team is different with Pete Carroll at the helm. They are approaching training camp differently. They approach the preseason differently. They approach the interaction with the fans differently. And Pete Carroll, you can say what you want about him at 74 years old. There's no one that attacks life more than Pete Carroll from the moment he gets up to the moment he goes to bed. And I think that has infected the rest of his team. And you see that in some ways in what Ashton Jeanty has talked about. And I think he can do both. I think he can let people know that he's a psychopath, and then he can play like a psychopath. He can say, hey, I just got run over by a psychopath. And I think we all get to watch it together and be pretty excited that the Raiders finally have a running game, because last year they decided that running the football wasn't part of what they did. They won 4 games, and now they have a new coach, a new GM, a new OC, a new quarterback, and, of course, that rookie running back they drafted 6th overall.
Pete Carroll is the new Dick Van Dyke. Like, Pete Carroll is ageless. Dick Van Dyke is like close to 100 and still dancing. It's crazy.
74 years young.
Yeah.
Pete Carroll. Getting after it. He's getting after it. But just make sure that you don't get into a situation where you're at the 1-yard line in the Super Bowl and you don't give it to Ashton Jeanty.
Oh, he's going.
Just make sure that we don't have another repeat of history there. You're talking about all that Dick Van Dyke stuff. Make sure that we're taking care of the business on the field here.
He won't trip over the Chase Lounge.
I don't want to see that Richard
episode.
Sherman meme ever again. Had that come up again. We'll run the football. Ashton Jeanty, favorite to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, listed at plus 250, set to make his NFL debut Sunday at New England, a game you can see on CBS. Emory Hunt, Ryan Wilson here on HQ. And look, we're excited. You're excited. The Raiders-Patriots game, one of 6 games on CBS in Week 1. Also on the schedule, future Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers facing his former team when the Steelers visit the Jets at 1 p.m. Eastern. You can also watch the action streaming live on Paramount+. We'll have full highlights and post-game reaction right here on CBS Sports HQ.